Hello, my dear friends. My name is Lily, and today I want to tell you a story that is very close to my heart. Please listen carefully and stay with me until the end, because this story is filled with love, emotions, and a special message that will touch your heart. I promise it will make you smile, maybe shed a tear, and most importantly, make you think about something very beautiful in life. Let me take you to a small town where the sky is always bright blue, and the trees dance with the wind. The air smells of fresh flowers, and the birds sing soft songs in the morning. This is where my family lives. My family is not very big, but it is everything to me. There's my father, my mother, my younger brother, and me. We live in a small but cozy house with a little garden full of colorful flowers. My father is tall and strong. He works as a carpenter. His hands are rough from all the hard work. But when he holds my hand, they feel gentle and warm. His eyes are filled with kindness, and his voice is always calm. He loves to tell us stories before bedtime. My mother is the most beautiful woman in the world. She has soft, brown eyes that always look at me with love. She smells like roses because she grows them in our garden. Her smile makes me feel safe and happy. My younger brother, Tommy, is only 5 years old. He has curly hair and big, curious eyes. He is full of energy, always running around the house, playing with his toy cars. One sunny morning, I woke up to the smell of fresh bread. My mother was baking in the kitchen. The golden sunlight was falling on her face, making her look even more beautiful. I ran to her and hugged her tightly. She kissed my forehead and said, "Good morning, my little sunshine." Her voice was soft, like a lullaby. My father was in the backyard, fixing a wooden bench that had broken. Tommy was chasing a butterfly, laughing loudly. That day, everything felt perfect. The sun was warm, and the flowers were blooming. After breakfast, we all went to the park. My father pushed Tommy on the swing while my mother and I sat on the grass, making flower crowns. The gentle wind touched our faces, and the sound of children laughing filled the air. But as the sun started to set, dark clouds covered the sky. The wind became strong, and the trees began to shake. We hurried back home. Soon, heavy rain poured down, and thunder roared loudly. Tommy, who was always so brave, suddenly became scared. He clung to my mother's dress, his eyes filled with tears. I held his tiny hand and whispered, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." We sat by the window, watching the rain hit the glass. My father lit a small fire in the fireplace. The warm light made the room feel cozy. My mother made hot cocoa, and we all sat close together. The storm was loud outside, but inside our home, it was peaceful. I looked at my family, and my heart felt full. The next morning, the sky was clear again, and the sun was shining. Tommy ran outside to play, and I followed him. We played with the neighbors' kids and laughed until our stomachs hurt. My parents watched us from the porch, holding hands. I could see the love in their eyes. As days passed, life was simple but happy. My father worked hard to give us everything we needed. My mother always made sure our home was filled with love. But sometimes I could see the tiredness in my father's eyes. His hands, once strong, started to feel weak. He would sit quietly on the porch, looking at the horizon. I was too young to understand, but now I know he was worried about the future. One evening, I sat next to him. He gently placed his hand on my head and said, "Lily, no matter what happens in life, always remember one thing. Family is the most precious gift. When you grow up, you will meet many people, have many adventures, and chase many dreams. But never forget to come back home, because home is where your heart belongs." I didn't fully understand his words at that time, but I felt the warmth in them. His voice was soft but filled with so much love. That night, I hugged my parents and brother a little tighter. Time passed quickly. I grew older, and Tommy started school. Our small house was always filled with laughter. On weekends, we would go to the countryside, have picnics, and run barefoot on the soft grass. My father would play his old guitar, and my mother would sing. Her voice was like honey, sweet and gentle. Tommy would dance around, making us all laugh. Those were the happiest days of my life. But life is like the sky, it cannot always be sunny. One day, my father fell very sick. He could no longer work in the woodshop. His hands, once strong, became weak and shaky. I saw my mother crying in the kitchen when she thought no one was watching. Tommy didn't understand what was happening. He would bring his toy cars to my father and say, "Let's play," not knowing that my father was too weak to move. I was scared. I wanted everything to be the way it was before. I wished my father would get better. I wished my mother would smile again. I wished Tommy would never feel sad. But I also saw something beautiful. My family's love grew even stronger. My mother stayed by my father's side, holding his hand, whispering words of hope. Tommy would sit next to him, showing him his drawings, making him smile. And I promised to be strong. Even when my father couldn't work, my mother took care of everything. She found a job at a small bakery, waking up early every morning. Her hands, once soft, became rough from working so hard. But every evening, when she came home, she still kissed us with the same gentle love. One night, my father called me to his bedside. His voice was weak but still full of warmth. He said, "Lily, you are strong, just like your mother. And one day, you will spread kindness and love wherever you go. But promise me one thing, never let the world make your heart hard. Keep it soft and full of love." I held his hand and promised. And in that moment, I realized something. Life will not always be easy. It will have storms, and sometimes the sky will be dark. But as long as we have love, we have everything. I want you to think about this, my dear friends. Sometimes we get busy with life. We chase dreams, money, and success. But we forget to hold the hands of those we love. We forget to say, I love you. We forget to sit with our family and share stories. But in the end, family is the most beautiful part of our life. So today, after listening to this story, I want you to do something. Go to your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, or anyone you consider family. Hug them. Tell them how much you love them, because these little moments are what make life beautiful. And if you enjoyed this story and felt it in your heart, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. It encourages me to create more heartfelt and meaningful stories for you. Thank you for listening with your heart. Remember, love makes life beautiful. As the days passed, my father's health continued to weaken, but his spirit remained strong. He still smiled when Tommy showed him his silly drawings of flying cars and three-headed dragons. He still held my mother's hand whenever she sat beside him, and every night, before going to sleep, he would gently call me over and say, Lily, my sunshine, always stay kind. The world needs more kindness. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of pink and orange, I sat beside my father in the garden. The scent of roses filled the air. My father's hand was frail, but he held mine with the same warmth as he always did. We sat quietly, watching Tommy chase fireflies, laughing and clapping with joy. My father turned to me and softly whispered, Do you see that? The way Tommy laughs so freely. That is what happiness looks like. Never lose that, Lily. No matter how old you get, keep a piece of that childlike joy in your heart. I smiled and rested my head on his shoulder. The sun slowly disappeared, and the fireflies danced in the darkness. It was such a beautiful moment, but I didn't know then that it would be one of the last moments I'd share with my father. A few days later, on a rainy afternoon, my father quietly passed away. He left us peacefully, with my mother holding his hand and me and Tommy sitting close by. The house suddenly felt empty without his gentle laughter and warm voice. I remember looking at Tommy, who didn't fully understand what had happened. He kept asking, Where is Daddy? When will he wake up? His innocent eyes were filled with confusion, and it broke my heart. I held Tommy close and whispered, Daddy is now a star in the sky. Every night, when you look up, you will see him shining brightly. And whenever you miss him, just talk to the stars. He will always be listening. That night, as we lay on the grass outside, we stared at the stars. Tommy pointed at the brightest one and said, That's Daddy, I can see him. His eyes sparkled with hope. And in that moment, I realized how powerful love is. It keeps people alive in our hearts, even when they are no longer with us. In the weeks that followed, our home was filled with silence. My mother would sometimes sit by the window, holding my father's old scarf close to her chest. She would close her eyes and take a deep breath, as if trying to hold on to the fading scent of him. But even in her sadness, she was strong. She woke up every morning, made us breakfast, and gave us warm hugs. She never let us feel alone. I often helped my mother in the garden, where my father once loved to sit. We watered the roses he had planted, and I talked to the flowers as if they could hear me. I would tell them, "Daddy, the roses are still as beautiful as you left them." Tommy, on the other hand, slowly began to understand that Daddy wasn't coming back. But instead of being sad, he became stronger in his own little way. He would tell me, "Don't worry, Lily. Daddy is watching us. He is happy when we smile." And every time he said that, I felt my father's presence in the warmth of the sun, in the rustling of the leaves, and in the twinkle of the stars. As time went on, we began to heal. My mother worked hard, and I started helping her more. I would wake up early and help with the dishes. I would take Tommy to school, holding his tiny hand as we walked through the town. He would pick wildflowers on the way home and say, "These are for Mommy. She likes yellow ones, right?" His little heart was filled with so much love. One day, I saw my mother sitting on the porch, staring at the sunset. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she was smiling. I sat beside her, and she softly said, "You know, Lily, your father's love is still here. It's in the way the wind touches our faces. It's in the warmth of the sun. It's in your eyes and in Tommy's laughter. He never really left." I rested my head on her shoulder, and for the first time in a long while, I felt peace. It was as if my father was right there with us, watching over us. The seasons changed, and so did we. We became stronger. We found joy in small things, in morning walks, in shared laughter, and in holding each other close. We learned to find my father's love in the little things: the smell of freshly cut wood, the sound of the old guitar he once played, and the sight of roses blooming in the garden. Years passed, and Tommy grew taller. I grew older. But one thing never changed our family's bond. Even though my father was no longer with us in person, his love never faded. It remained in our hearts, guiding us through every storm. One evening, many years later, I sat on the same porch where I once sat with my father. Tommy, now a teenager, was playing his guitar, the same one my father used to play. My mother, with a few more wrinkles but still the same beautiful smile, was knitting by the fire. I closed my eyes, and I could almost hear my father's voice whispering, "Family is forever, Lily. Never forget that." As I opened my eyes, I looked at the sky. The stars were twinkling, and I smiled. knowing that one of them was my father. My dear friends, this is my story, a story of love, loss, and healing. A story that shows us that no matter what happens, love never fades. It stays in the little things, in the memories we hold, and in the hearts that remember. So tonight, when you look at the stars, think of someone you love. And if they are still with you, hold them tight. Tell them how much they mean to you. And if they are no longer here, talk to the stars. They will hear you. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me and encourages me to share more beautiful and meaningful stories with you. Thank you for listening with your heart. Remember, love is the greatest treasure we carry. As the years passed, life continued to flow like a quiet river, steady and gentle. The memories of my father remained etched in our hearts, but they no longer brought only tears, they brought warmth and strength. His absence became a silent presence, guiding us in unseen ways. Tommy grew older and taller. His once chubby cheeks thinned out, and his wild curls settled into softer waves. He was still the same bright soul, always curious, always full of life, but he had also grown wiser. He became the kind of person who would help an old man cross the street or give his sandwich to a hungry stray dog. My father's kindness lived on in him. One summer evening, we sat by the old oak tree in the park, the same one where my father once pushed Tommy on the swing. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with hues of gold and lavender. Tommy, now a young boy with dreams in his eyes, leaned against me and softly asked, "Lily, do you think Daddy would be proud of us?" I looked at him, my eyes stinging with the weight of emotion. I gently placed my hand on his head and said, "Oh, Tommy, he is proud of us. Every time you smile at a stranger, every time you share your kindness, and every time you chase the fireflies just like you used to." He smiles. I know it. Tommy's lips curved into a soft smile, and he pointed at the brightest star in the sky. "That one," he said. "That's Daddy. He's watching us right now." I followed his gaze, and for a moment, I felt as though the star twinkled just a little brighter. I knew it was only my imagination, but my heart believed otherwise. As we walked home that evening, the gentle summer wind brushed against our faces, carrying with it the faint scent of roses from our garden. My mother was waiting on the porch, her hair now streaked with silver, but her smile still as warm as ever. She opened her arms, and Tommy and I ran into them. She held us tightly, and for a moment, it felt as though time had stopped. That night, as we sat around the small kitchen table, I found myself staring at the empty chair where my father once sat. It was still there, a quiet reminder of the man who once filled the room with laughter. But instead of sadness, I felt a strange kind of comfort. His chair was not empty, it was filled with memories, with love, with invisible traces of him. The next morning, as the sun rose and painted the sky with soft shades of orange, I stood in the garden, watching the roses sway gently with the breeze. I knelt down and touched the petals of the roses my father had planted years ago. They were still vibrant, still blooming, and in that moment, I realized something. Love is just like these roses. Even when the gardener is gone, the flowers still bloom, carrying with them his care, his touch, and his love. As the seasons changed, so did our lives. I grew older and left home for college. It was the first time I had been away from my family. I still remember the day I left, the way my mother clung to me, trying so hard to smile even though her eyes were brimming with tears. Tommy, now a teenager, hugged me tightly and said, "I'll take care of Mommy. Don't worry." His voice was shaky, but his grip was firm. When I boarded the train, I turned to wave at them one last time. My mother stood there, holding Tommy's hand. She smiled, but I saw the sadness in her eyes, the same sadness I once saw in her when we lost my father. But this time, there was something else in her eyes too. Pride. She was proud of me. She was proud of the strength my father had passed down to me. Life at college was different. The days were busy, and the nights were often lonely. But I carried my family in my heart. Every time I felt lost or homesick, I would close my eyes and picture my father sitting on the porch, Tommy laughing by his side, and my mother singing softly while watering the roses. Those memories were my anchor, keeping me steady even when the world felt uncertain. I called home every evening. My mother would always ask, "Are you eating well, Lily?" And Tommy, with his deepening voice, would ask, "Are you making lots of friends?" His voice had changed, but he was still my little brother, full of love and innocence. On the days when I felt weak, I would sit by my dorm window and look at the stars. I would find the brightest one and whisper, "Daddy, I miss you." And somehow, the night would feel a little less cold. After finishing college, I returned home. The moment I stepped off the bus, I saw my mother and Tommy waiting for me. My mother's hair was now fully silver, but she was still just as beautiful. Tommy was no longer the small boy I once knew. He was now a tall young man with strong hands and kind eyes, just like our father. When he hugged me, I could feel the strength in his arms, and for a brief moment, it felt as though my father was holding me. We walked back home together, and as we entered the house, I noticed something new. A wooden frame hung by the door. Inside it was an old photo of my father, smiling softly. Beneath it were the words he once told me, "No matter where life takes you, always come back home, because home is where love lives." That evening, we sat by the fire, just like we used to. Tommy played the guitar, and my mother hummed softly. The room was filled with warmth, the kind of warmth only family can bring. The years went by quickly. Tommy grew into a man, and I got married. My husband, a kind and gentle soul, loved the stories I told him about my father. Together, we built our own home not too far from my childhood home, because I could never be too far from my family. One summer evening, I sat on the porch of my new home, holding my own daughter in my arms, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and I smiled softly, remembering how my father once held my hand with the same tenderness. My husband sat beside me, and together we watched the sunset. The sky was painted with hues of pink and gold, the same colors I remembered from the evenings spent with my father. As the stars began to appear, my little daughter pointed at the brightest one and asked, "Mommy, what's that star called?" I smiled, my heart swelling with warmth. I kissed her forehead and softly whispered, "That, my love, is your grandpa. He's watching over us, making sure we are safe and happy." She stared at the star with wide, innocent eyes and whispered, "Hi, Grandpa. I love you." In that moment, I felt my father's presence. I could almost hear his voice in the rustling of the leaves, in the soft hum of the wind, and in the laughter of my daughter. And I knew, without a doubt, that love never truly fades, it simply finds new ways to stay with us, through the people we love and the memories we cherish. So, my dear friends, I want you to remember this. Hold your family close. Cherish every moment with them, because in the end, it's not the big things that matter, it's the small ones. It's the hand you hold, the smile you share, and the love you give. And if this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me, and it inspires me to share more heartfelt and meaningful stories with you. Thank you for listening with your heart.